Hello, my name is Peter Wooding and welcome to Automotive EV. This session is geared and designed around customer experience. We have three great speakers who will introduce themselves and do a short presentation. And we will start off with Simon from Project EV. So the floor is yours now, Simon. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, guys. Thanks, Peter, for that nice short intro. And I'm just going to share my screen and then we'll get a little deck and presentation really around Project EV and what we're trying to do to obviously create a great customer experience. So hopefully you can see my screen. And of course, Project EV is all about a range of car chargers and also interactive software experiences to ensure that the customer is getting best value for money when it comes to charging, and of course giving them a great array of products, which is equally important to obviously ensuring that the customer is getting the right information and what they actually want to do and achieve when they're charging their electric vehicle or fleet of vehicles. So there's a short intro video I shall play here.
Introducing Project EV, the smart and affordable range of vehicle chargers for home and commercial use. Compatible with all leading manufacturers and encompassing a sleek, compact design, Project EV chargers are easy to use and give you pure simplicity and style at its best. Every Project EV charger is quick to install, simple to use, solar compatible, smart compatible, fully programmable, updates automatically, 18th edition wiring regulation compliant, accredited and approved by the DVLA and the OLEV. Project EV, quick, easy and affordable car charging.
There we go. So as you can see there that we do a pretty wide range of products for domestic and commercial use. Our mission is really to drive electric vehicle charging and also the information to the consumer or the commercial entity with the right product. I think it's very important we understand what the customer is actually trying to achieve. Certainly on a domestic basis that is constrained, as we know, but there's also considerations even on a domestic level, whether a customer wants to be utilising their solar panel equipment to charge, or whether they have a constrained supply because they've got an air source heat pump or some other large high load equipment where they need to restrict the charge of the vehicle. And that's important really within the Project EV range and what we've tried to achieve. I think there's a huge rationale and just a couple of slides really on why everyone's doing it. And of course, we'll talk about charging phobias and how people can get over the fact that maybe they've got this new electric vehicle that they're going to have to charge. And obviously bear in mind some of the apprehensions of not being able to fuel at a petrol station and get themselves on that journey. As we can see, charging stations are appearing all over the country now, and as we know, there's some dedicated fuel stations or charging stations that will be appearing certainly on the motorways and highways of the UK. As we can see, there's over 200 models now that are slowly appearing across the market, whether it's PHEV or EV, and certainly 330,000 cars to charge is going to be no doubt an infrastructure nightmare. So I think it's important as well that maybe we touch on a few of the rationales to try and combat that and the way that we can do that. And what's the reason for it? It is a recession busting product. As we know, there's lots of rationale for companies to go ahead with EVs and the zero car tax and benefiting kinds that are available for going pure EV. There's certainly a vast array of cars now with really good ranges on there that give the rationale for companies and domestic users to purchase EV or PHEV even. The savings are astronomical, guys, and as you can see there, from a small car to a large car, you can really get some good savings dependent on your mileage per year. And I think more importantly, as well, as we start looking into EVs, is ticking those sustainability policies and really accessing the rationale for reducing the CO2 element of the emissions that various companies will produce over that period of per annum. And this is all going towards really why they need to do it, and also why they'd want to do it. And looking at all those benefits that are currently available, it really is easy to see that why wouldn't you want to save 6.84 tonnes if you're a British Gas or one of the other conglomerates that obviously need to start looking at the sustainability policies and how they can impact them by going EV. And apologies. So just touching on the range, which I think is really important, and some of the things that we find to create a better customer experience. There's some earthing arrangements within the regulations in the UK, which means that customers don't want the drive digging up and earth spikes fitting, and therefore we've got a range with earth spikes that there's no requirement for, which is the additional earthing requirements for the 18th edition regulations. And we do a whole range from 7 kilowatt to 22 kilowatt, and then all the way up to the DC 40, 50 and 150 kilowatt. I think the important thing is what customers don't realise is the restrictive nature of EV and the inverter capacity, which basically means how fast your car's going to charge from an AC charger. Now that may not be a requirement for domestic use, because of course we're constrained by the supply. But if you've got a garage or something that needs fast turnaround, then because of the high charging DC rates of vehicles, then that may be a requirement to look at certainly in the future. So as we know, or we don't know, maybe Jaguar, they've got a 7 kilowatt inverter inside their car. That means you can only get a 7 kilowatt AC charge through that particular vehicle. And therefore you may need to look at some DC charging. That's always a consideration, certainly, to look at. And of course, when you start to get to the big chargers, there's also the constrained supply elements of any commercial premises, which is really important as well. Part of Project EV, we always look at trying to deliver added value, and therefore all the protective RCD equipment is built into every charger that we do. We also have an extended warranty of 5 years on all our AC charging, and of course, very important as well, some security features, that cable lock mechanisms and things that are all built into the chargers to ensure that people don't run off with the cables. Some of the features, if people that don't know anything about EV charging, is it's a standard protocol, and therefore it means it works with every single vehicle that comes to the market. Sometimes we have to do firmware updates because obviously vehicle manufacturers do change the parameters of the way that the charger connects to the vehicle, but that's very simple. It's all done over the internet. And with our charger, it's all smart app integrated. It's completely free, so it makes it fully intelligent with standard start-stop buttons, and also Wi-Fi and LAN connections that we can offer. We do the RFID readers as well, which could be important, certainly if you're a company that wants to keep an eye on starting and stopping charging. And also we do a full pro CRM system for public charging, expense charging. I think the other important things is as well is just adding those added values, charging from solar panels, which our chargers can do, and that is via a CT clamp that goes onto the mains incorporated within the charger. Also, I think the biggest importance is the fact that customers can take advantage of low-cost charging or off-peak charging. I think one of the best rates on the market is Octopus today. And by doing that and also incorporating some autonomous value with the likes of electric miles, can really add value to the customers charging. And of course, it puts more money back in the pocket to buy their next EV. So that's really, really important. So we go through all of that with the customer of course, that's it's not just a dumb charger anymore. It's an actual charger that can really save or add value to their particular charging element of their electric vehicle. And I think also it's worth just adding in that to make your system fully dynamic, then you would want to maybe incorporate your solar panels. Certainly if you're going to fleet charging, you may need battery storage, and this may balance the constrained supply. It's not just about looking at your existing supply and thinking we're going to put 10 chargers within the remit of the site. It may be that you've only got such a small constrained supply. The costs of new infrastructure are so expensive that maybe there's other added value propositions that you can look at, maybe solar panels, maybe large scale battery storage, maybe even looking at your lighting, existing lighting element, where you could restrict and release an amount of load on the supply. Going to corporates, we do pay on a monthly basis for the kVA that we actually sit at the supply end, and therefore anything that we can do to reduce that can drastically help to obviously achieve your EV charging element to any site requirements. And as I said, the importance of charging with solar, so getting completely free charging to that vehicle from your solar panel. So all of our chargers have an element through the app where you can create a complete solar mode and take some of that exported power and drive it through the EV charger, giving you complete free charging. So again, these are all just added values to give that customer proposition and acquisition a better journey, and also make them feel like, well, actually, I can actually go to work for free virtually if my solar panels can charge my vehicle. And then really, it's working with partners, and Electric Miles has been a fantastic journey. Arun's a great guy, and hopefully with some autonomous charging journey management can take away from that charging phobia that may be becoming apparent. And I've got a short video just to play what Project EVA and Electric Miles are trying to achieve, not taking anything away from what Arun's going to present shortly, because I'm sure he's got a much longer presentation than myself, but it's just a quick video of what Electric Miles and Project EVA can achieve. There we go, thank you. So, and then just finally, really just adding a little bit of value to not just Project EV, but also to a company. We've got a system called Mina that can deliver acquisitions very simply by one bill to the company and paying out the employee for their charging at home. The exact amount that they're utilising by taking the charging data and expensing the customer on a monthly basis means that customers won't feel, or employees won't feel, that they are beholden to changing tariffs, which obviously most customers won't want to, or employees won't want to do. And also I think the importance is as well, because their bill potentially is going to increase considerably, also having that charging phobia, which is really important. So Mina, what they do is they interact with the customer on a personal basis and in an automated payment process, which is completely compliant with the HMRC, so there's no expense claims, and it's just a single invoice which is VAT applicable to the employer, which is absolutely fabulous. I know shorter time, guys, and I'm sure I can do a much longer presentation than this, but hopefully you can see that it's a very, very, very interesting space, and also a considered space that we all need to think about when we're introducing customers to charging and, of course, electric vehicles or hybrids. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon. And Donald, if you could take the stage now, please.
Absolutely. Thanks, Peter. All right, let's have a look. So my name is Donald. I'm co-founder and CEO at EVA Global, the leading managed services provider in e-mobility across Europe. A little bit about us. We started in 2017 by offering a 24/7 sort of driver support hotline. It was anything from answering questions around which car should I buy to I can't charge an electric vehicle at this charging station. Could you please help me? So we set up a customer technical support, which currently operates in 14 languages across 25 countries. We've expanded also into offering infrastructure management as a service, which we've been doing since 2019, last year. And what we're doing is really helping charge point operators and network owners to manage their infrastructure by monitoring and troubleshooting their network of charge points so as to maximize and optimize uptime and availability. At the moment, we're serving just about 40,000 charge points across those 25 countries, and we're fully dedicated to the mobility industry. So back in 2017, we felt that in order for new drivers to EVs, for them to feel comfortable buying and using their electric vehicles, there was a need to build trust between the new technology they were adopting, and that's why we set up EVA Global. Now, before I continue, I just wanted to show this slide because I think it's interesting how, of course, we've been comparing pollution levels across Europe, given the pandemic, and so we saw the decrease in those pollution levels, but at the same time, we're starting to see how they're coming back up to what they were about a year ago. However, I think that even though we have seen this increase, perhaps what has changed is, I suppose, a collective mindset towards what needs to be done to meet our climate goals across Europe. And I suppose that Corona, in a way, despite, of course, all the negative effects it's had, also presents an opportunity for a shift in the way that we move in our cities and beyond. So what we found is that, you know, across the different countries, particularly when you're adopting new technology, you go through a series of stages, and that's knowledge, persuasion, decision, implementation, confirmation. And perhaps it's worth saying that aside perhaps 2 countries in Europe that are already in the implementation phase, we're for the most part still in the knowledge phase. So from the approximately 15 to 16,000 calls that we took in August alone from EV drivers across Europe, we still had about, I'd say, 30% of all our calls that had to do with drivers who were not at a point of charge, who were still considering whether or not to buy an electric vehicle, which one to buy, what speed can I charge, what's the cost of charging, how do I actually charge, and they're always comparing it to the experience of driving their current car, which is an internal combustion engine. So I suppose that in this phase where we're trying to get from knowledge onto persuasion, it's very, very important that as an industry we're able to, I suppose, communicate the value from a cost perspective, but also from an environmental perspective in terms of the benefits of electrifying our transport. I think what we've learned from a sort of survey that we did in across Europe was that a lot of drivers are still sort of comparing what others are thinking about EVs, and perhaps that's why I was saying before that the whole sort of COVID situation has united us, I think, in a way that we're starting to see that perhaps before I thought if I did my little part, it won't really make a difference. However, if as a country or as a group of countries, we, in a way, all decide, not decided, but we were in a lockdown, we saw the effect of communities sort of, that communities could have on the environment. I think we're, in fact, on a tipping point, perhaps. And it's no longer about the social status, but about how, what your legacy is going to be for the future, for future generations to come. So it's no longer about cost, but perhaps about the sense of we and collective efficacy. What we have learned at EVA Global is that customers have sort of, I suppose, what I'd call hygiene factors that they look at, and perhaps those have changed over the past 2 years quite dramatically, particularly as cars become, compatible with faster charging speeds, and so availability is definitely at the base of that pyramid. So I perhaps started with an anxiety in terms of whether I'd have enough range. It's kind of turning into, if I get to that charging point, will it be working and will it be available? Also, I think, is it easy to use? So I'm going to go and choose a network that is very, very easy to use. Perhaps I don't even need to subscribe. I can just use my contactless payment methods and start charging. And I suppose that with ISO 15118 and plug and charge, it'll all become much easier, yet to see what impact it'll have on sort of mobility service providers and how much perhaps power it'll give to OEM. So that's yet to be seen. And then what's really starting to surface is speed. So from a public point of view, from a public charging point of view, so how fast can I charge compared to how I used to charge my traditional car? Is it going to take me 40 minutes? That's already too long. So we've had customers who arrived at a 50 kilowatt charger, and then because the charger wasn't working, were redirected to the nearest alternative, which happened to be 22 kilowatts, and they'd rather, if they can choose, actually not go there. Perhaps because we are or have become, in a way, I guess, a society that wants everything absolutely, right now. So in terms of, if we dive deeper into those 3 elements, then fast is perhaps a desire to avoid delay, that value of the immediate, and perhaps just because we're all impulsive, right? The easy to use and easy to pay for. Maybe it's because we have seen how a myriad of charge point operators have sort of appeared on the market, together with different sort of subscription services, either through MSPs or any other alternative. And so I'm not sure as a driver whether I'm always paying the best price, even though I'm subscribed to this, service or tariff that promises accessibility to a range of different charge point networks. And that's that lack of transparent prices, I think, that is really affecting, their view of, particularly at the beginning of their EV journey, in terms of how whether it was the right decision to go with EVs. In the end, the longer you are with the EV, the less you ask yourself that question. And then, of course, availability. It's that sort of number of calls that we get where drivers are asking, as they are planning their journey, whether that charger is going to be available. Is it working? Is it where it says it is? Yesterday I saw it on the map in the app, and today it's not appearing. Has it been uninstalled? Is it still available? And when I get there, am I going to have to be waiting? Is it popular? Or will I be able to just arrive, pay and charge? And then I think, particularly with World EV Day last week, I think week before, we started to hear that there's less range anxiety, and I think that's because perhaps we're part of the industry. We drive EVs, and once you've driven, you sort of it becomes part of your habit, and so range is no longer a question. It's still, though, in the minds of anybody looking to buy an EV. And of course, now we're starting to hear more and more that there are not enough chargers. And I think it's easier to sort of spread perhaps negative views than it is positive when you don't really understand the development of EV technology and e-mobility. And that's the knowledge piece again. So again, I think societal acceptance, we're getting there, particularly as a result of COVID. I think costs continue to be the number one reason when somebody's calling us at a dealership thinking about buying a car, and we always ask, like, what's stopped you until now? It's always the cost of ownership. And then what they do say, though, is that they have gone to the dealership because they have heard that maintenance is lower. So maybe it's just a question of focusing on the positive sort of perceptions that they have of EVs at the moment. And that sense of collective efficacy, again, thanks well, as a result of COVID-19. So in terms of the future, I think it's incredible news that at an EU level, it's been decided that 200 billion euros will be put towards meeting Green Deal targets. Across different countries in Europe, we're starting to see how, by law, every petrol station needs to be offering EV charging. Again, we're starting to look at HPC. If I go actually back this slide, you'll notice these three pictures, and the first one is actually in Berlin. And it's Tesla's first high-power charging station in an urban area. It's actually quite central in Berlin. The one below it is in Stuttgart, and it's belonging to EnBW. And again, this is high-power charging, again in urban areas. And the one below it is Ionity, starting to install its stations within urban areas as well. And this one is in Wolfsburg. So all of it in Germany, and perhaps because of this new sort of requirement to have petrol stations offering EV charging, so competition is starting to flourish. I think. I think what I really like to stress is that I think drivers are starting to really make a point of faster equals better. And even from an investment point of view, when you're looking at how many sessions you can cover with a high-powered charger, if you had to invest 1 million euros in the market, then a return on investment on high-powered charging is going to be perhaps a more interesting proposition. Taxation, of course, we've seen how it helped in Norway. I think it's again changing across Europe. Happy to discuss that a bit later as well. And then I think transparency is still, I feel, key. In a previous talk, I remember showing Charge Price, an app based out of Berlin, that clearly showed you how, depending on which MSP you were signed up to, you could be paying anything from £7 a kilowatt hour at one station with one MSP, or I think it was 35 or 36 euros. So it's all still work in progress, and that's about that.
Thank you, Donald. Thank you very much indeed. Arun, I'd like to invite you to the stage now. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Peter. Thanks. Amazing speech. Obviously, Simon, we know each other, and thank you for introducing Electric Miles as well. And yeah, Donald, some really interesting insight there. Hope you guys can see the screen. So I'm Arun Anand. I'm the CEO, founder of Electric Miles. I mean, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've got 15 years experience in the energy sector. Delivered a solution for big energy utilities. So just a bit of a backstory. I mean, 2 years back when I first bought my electric car, obviously was really excited about the technology. I was kind of hit by sort of high electricity bill, the volatility, and really confused of when and how much to charge. So obviously saw this is going to be such a massive market, and I won't be the only people experiencing this. So that's where the idea of Electric Miles came in, that we need some sort of a charging engine or some sort of clever mechanism which kind of automates it and takes the away from the driver when and how much to charge. So yeah, today I'm proud to get the business to a stage where I'm here and presenting it to you. So we basically want to make charging seamless and easy for EV drivers and charge point manufacturers like Project EV and OEMs and energy suppliers in the future. Obviously quite related to today's topic around the whole transition and experience of a driver from an ICE to EV. I mean, we want to build a platform which sort of really makes it easy and seamless for them. So our platform, which ensures that you as a driver will always have the right charge in your vehicle at the right time, at the right cost, and at the right carbon impact. I mean, we have to remind ourselves, why are we doing this EV transition? I mean, obviously climate change and making sure we become carbon neutral as a nation. So we are fully supporting the UK's 2050 carbon target. So having technology do that is our way forward, we feel. I mean, we are quite a young company. It's only been about 18 months, and yeah, amazing response we had. We are kind of slating ourselves as a clean tech company. We're trying to develop this intelligent Internet of Energy solution. So any energy asset which is internet enabled, we want to connect, integrate. So obviously today we're starting with EV, but we have batteries, home batteries or storage batteries to smart appliances, and hopefully in the future electric boilers and stuff. As you know, the next pet project for National Grid is to decarbonize heat as well. So we want to build that sort of central nervous system for charging using the power of AI and IoT. Our platform kind of selects the sort of most intelligent charging schedule, combining low tariff, vehicle journey need, and automatically decide the best charging window. I mean, as you know, National Grid is facing increasing stress, and they need, grid companies are paying aggregators like us and EV drivers who can help solve this problem. So it's a massive £3 billion market itself. I wouldn't stress too much on the problem, as really most of the audience is aware of, I mean, in terms of the market growing annually at 28%, but by 2030, there will be 9 million EVs on the road in the UK, 250 million globally, if the OEMs can match up, can produce those sort of numbers. But even if you say half of that, that is still a significant amount of electrification. And UK has one of the highest charging costs in Europe. So which means that for a user to have a solution which controls that cost is going to be paramount. And on the other side, we got the grid, where 30% of peak demand will surge in the sort of next 10 to 15 years. I mean, as per a report from Bloomberg, I mean, by 2040, total annual demand just to EV will be 1,800 terawatt hour, which is 5% of the current consumption, which means that this uptake, if EV, will have a significant effect on our electricity system. I mean, although EV charging will cause an increase in the overall, I think the greater challenge lies in when and how this charging takes place. This may create challenges for generation capacity and for local network who could put under strain, to meet these surges in power demand. So we kind of studied the existing problem. In order to find a solution, you need to be aware of the problem. So we think we sort of now understand, okay, what are the problems we're going to face with the electrification, and on the basis of that, we are coming up with a sort of a release one of our platform, so we are launching the mobile app for EV drivers, integrating with obviously manufacturers. So we've now integrated with Project EV, and we are proud to roll out this solution. This patent pending, we've applied a patent on a whole the schedule technology, providing this cheaper, cleaner, and more efficient EV charging. So using the app, again, you could save your cost. We reckon we could get you up to 40% saving by automatically scheduling your charge to off-peak. At the same time, we could even help you in the tariff switching, making sure are you on the right tariff. We want to be the sort of switch of the EV world to make sure that the consumer is always on the best tariff. And thirdly, with a patent pending technology, we deliver this journey route management, which automatically integrates your personal and your work calendar and your business calendar to really automatically determine what sort of charge do you need efficiently. And finally, we are the EV aggregators, so we are able to shift charge schedule based on the grid demand. So we've won a couple of contracts already with the local DSO, and hopefully now we got a pilot launch in October. We are hoping to prove what our tech can do on the grid flexibility side. So quickly in how it works, again, we are completely software solution. We obviously integrate with hardware providers and as well as EV directly. So we built some APIs into Tesla, and now we are working on other OEMs such as Nissan and Renault. So we are hardware agnostic. So what our platform does is APIs into the supplier tariff, real-time grid cross generation forecast to see when is the solar and wind generation the highest, so that we match the schedule accordingly, as well as integrating with your grid providers to know when is the constraint so that we know when to push the charge away. And finally, on users calendar to sort of really give that sort of seamless solution. We also have a product roadmap, a fleet charging as a service. Now, I think one of the biggest problem we are going to face as more and more businesses, as Simon said on a slide, more and more businesses are electrifying their fleet. There will come a point where the network bandwidth is just not going to be enough, which means companies and businesses are upgrading to EVs, but they just don't have they don't have the sort of load to charge them simultaneously. So we've delivered, a solution where we want to fully automate, again, the whole charge management of when and how much to charge, which vehicle, integrating with their diaries and their delivery patterns, such as Amazon deliveries or UPS, knowing which vehicle is going out the furthest or which has the lowest charge, and seamlessly providing sort of top-down view of your charging behavior. Upgrading a network cost, I think for 100 kVA line is about 60 to 80,000 pounds, and there's 12 to 18 months wait time. So our pitch is that, hey, let's live within our means until the upgrade happens, and we will simultaneously using the load management of the hardware, making sure that we never hit our limits, so to avoid fines, and at the same time keeping the OPEX cost down of your charging is crucial. This is some of the snapshot of our software at the moment. Again, we do dynamic load management, great opportunity for flexibility revenue with the fleet side, knowing the pattern is a bit more set than a domestic driver. We could also do return to home charging for like a British Gas vans or Royal Mail vans we are in conversation with. And be able to do monetize on your carbon trading and multi-vehicle charging, again, journey management chipped in. So eventually it's the kind of whole economic analysis of when to start and stop the charge. And eventually with what Donald was alluding, some of the technology around ISO 15118 and vehicle to grid, of then the software deciding when to charge from the grid, when to take the charge from the batteries, when to take it from the solar, and eventually when to sell it back to the grid. So we will be able to do all of that economic analysis for the consumer. Quick benefit, I mean, our software, so this is based on real-time data. I think we used the pre-lockdown data for January and February. We looked at what our software can do compared to some of the other sort of standard processes out there. So the base UK average, I think we could save about 79% compared to that when people are doing the 80 to 20 charge and maybe on a single rate tariff, choosing the wrong time to do their 20 to 80%. It could be quite a big hit to a consumer's pocket. And even comparing to some of the smart tariffs out there, what our software can do is over and beyond that. So, and we're really excited to obviously with the Project EV rollout to really prove it in real. One of the other USP for us as a business is that we are an official EV aggregator, so we can aggregate demand and generation from EVs and basically be the middleman with the grid, ensuring that so we are fully integrated with UK Power Network and Western Power Distribution, where we were able to secure 8 megawatt of contract, which could power almost about 2,000 to 3,000 vehicles. So we are hoping now with the Project EV pilot, we are able to find users on the right postcode where we already have a contract. We are also doing a pilot with Off-Grid Energy, who again a great business on batteries on the wheel, and they've got some assets in the postcode. We already secure contracts where we're going to prove this is kind of V1G. Vehicle to grid, but the version 1 where all we have to do is move the charge away from the constraint period. And yeah, really excited with that. And finally, I mean, in terms of our development vision as a business, as I said, eventually we want to be Internet of Energy business, where we want to be able to we're starting with the domestic charging with our Project EV rollout. We're going to prove with V1G. We got microgrid charging going on where we could use batteries and solar at the same time in order to charge EVs, and a fleet charging service. We're looking at some pilots, and home energy management when users are going to have so many tech to solve, but we want to be that central charging nervous system in order to manage supply and demand and grid, and eventually give values to the user without him or her spending too much time figuring it out themselves. And when V2G is ready, we will be in a really good position to sort of really prove the concept and again help the grid as well as consumer. And eventually our dream is to be that Internet of Energy marketplace of being able to take the strain away from the grid and users to do some sort of peer-to-peer trading and being able to add supply and add demand and we could sort of net off. So yeah, that's the sort of vision. Finally, just want to talk quickly about, obviously Simon showed a great video of our rollout. So we are now looking for, we are doing this beta testing phase. So any listeners out there who got an EV and a Project EV charger, please reach out to us. We're happy to give some vouchers here to really gain this early access and really help us test the platform before our official go live in October. Quickly, I mean, we are partners and customers. I mean, already Project TV is in there, but we got partners with UK Power Network, National Grid, and we sit on the TfL board, and we're also a member of SMMT and OLEF. So yeah, thank you very much, guys. Hope if there's any question, please fire across.
Thank you, Arun, and thank you all. I think I'm echoing through someone else's speaker now. Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you again, all of you. We've got a minute left. So 3 great presentations. Really covered, I think, 99%, if not more, of what people wanted to sort of learn about. If I could finish off with one question though before we go. Everyone keeps talking about the number of charges or charging points. Should the question not be how many do we really need if they're quicker? Because otherwise it's great to have 1,000 charging points in a location, but if they're all very slow, from a driver perspective, who's getting used to the new way of driving, and sort of not been used to sort of having a sort of not a full tank, so to speak, are we approaching it the wrong way? Should we be gearing more to speed?
In my opinion, when we're talking about public infrastructure, I said it in the presentation, faster is better. And I think not so long ago, I watched a really funny comedy piece on Netflix, and it was somebody talking about how Amazon Prime had gone from a week delivery to 2-week delivery to same-day delivery. And the next thing should be, I wanted it yesterday, so deliver it to me yesterday. And I feel from a point of view of a driver, new generation, especially as you start looking at the shared economy and you're starting to share vehicles, and perhaps you get rid of the second vehicle at home for sure, you're going to be relying more on infrastructure outside your sort of home premises, right? So you're not going to be wanting to wait. And this is, the other day I heard a presentation in Berlin given by a digital marketing agency that had gone around Europe testing all the different charging points, and they compared it to wanting to charge a car like they were charging their mobile phone, anywhere and as fast as they can, right? And maybe it's a question of behavior and culture, from my point of view.
Or education, quite frankly, isn't it?
Yeah. Mm.
I really want to thank you all. Sorry, we're going to have to cut off because otherwise the whole sort of network. There was a lot of other things we could have gone through. And what I'd like to do is to reach out to all of you, and we'll look at seeing if there's another time soon where we could just have a Q&A on some of the key points. So sorry, I have to close it because I would have liked to keep it going. But thanks to all of you. Really appreciate your participation, and let's sort of all keep striving for the future. Right. So we have to close now, but thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.